Oh man. What's up everybody, it's waba, and I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the Occultist Caustic Arrow build I had been playing in the Hardcore Harbinger League, and where it has gone, what I've done, and just overall kind of how I feel about it. And yeah, I'm going to try to cover everything because it's going to kind of be a wrap-up for the little build series I was doing on my YouTube channel. So first, as of right now, I am using a Tri-Curse setup with Cospri's Will. And with a Tri-Curse setup, I have Temp Chains and Enfeeble on Blasphemy, and I am utilizing Witchfire Brew to get that third curse being my vulnerability. This is just, I think it's a strong defensive setup. I think it's a strong defensive setup, and the thing that I do really like about this is that this sort of setup, I think, exceeds in things like breaches or even like beachheads, like Harbinger maps, where you have a lot of rares where you could potentially get mobs that are hex-proof, and that's really what I want to use Cospri's Will for, and it actually kind of keeps you safe from investing so much into curses, and then to have something be hex-proof and then not actually even be able to, you know, use your vulnerability on them or whatever, which as most people would know, vulnerability is a huge part of Caustic Arrow damage, but Cospri's Will is a pretty good setup, and it has a lot of evasion on it, especially after the evasion buffs, or the body armor buffs to evasion and armor items. Having so much evasion coupled with a Enfeeble Blasphemy setup is really strong. I also do have a blind somewhere in here that my Golem could apply, so that's just a lot of layered defenses that I was utilizing on this build. Okay, I am still using the 6-link +2 bow. This bow could be considerably better and provide me a lot more damage, but I just haven't invested any more into it because I have some other things that I'm wanting to do with other builds, not necessarily this one. Now, as you could also see here, that my mana is actually, I only have 86 unreserved mana, so I can't even spam Caustic Arrow. But that's not that big of a deal because as I'm running through a map, I'm dropping one, dropping another, and it doesn't really affect me too much. However, that is something that I would like to fix on this build. You could fix it a couple of ways. One, you could either link Enlighten to your Blasphemies, or to your Blasphemies and your Discipline, or you could get a little bit more mana reservation on the tree. I currently have Charisma, but getting this reduced mana reservation node right here would also be, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Also, that would also benefit me because it would put me in the range of Hexmaster. So yeah, overall, defensively, the build is pretty good. However, offensively, it's lacking. It is lacking in just single target. Obviously, clear is perfectly fine, but I haven't pushed it too far. And so now I just want to start talking about the things that I could add to this build to help its single target, and what I would do if I was, like, you know, really going hard at Caustic Arrow. First up, I would probably be using these gloves, the Ulilopathy. I think that's how you say it, Ulilopathy. They grant you Blight. You know, there's a lot of builds that are utilizing these gloves right now. They're incredibly strong, especially with the unique jewel spreading rot. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I believe it's called Spreading Rot. Essentially, with the unique jewel, the unique threshold jewel, whenever a mob is affected by Blight and hindered, they take 25% increased chaos damage per jewel, which is, again, that's 50% increased chaos damage with both the jewels because you're limited to 2, and it acts as a more multiplier because they take increased damage. The same way that Wither works, where it says enemies take % increased damage per stack of Wither. That acts as a multiplier not the same way that increased damage generally would. However, there are some problems with this for my setup personally. I am playing a hybrid build, and I don't see myself going CI anytime soon. I just don't think there's there's not too many benefits to going CI, especially if there's something like this. Like, Caustic's Will is really good for a hybrid build because it gives me a lot of chaos resist, and that's probably the biggest thing. If I could get enough chaos resist, I could be perfectly fine with not being immune to chaos damage and having a little bit of a lower life pool. The end goal for this build would be roughly 5,000 life and 3,000 energy shield. So, but when I throw these gloves in there, they reduce your life quite a bit. So it puts more strain on your other pieces of gear. Like, if I were to use these gloves, you need to make sure that you have as much life as you could get on your belt. So you're probably looking at wanting to use a leather belt base, and as much resist. And then also it's going to put a lot of stress on your boots as well. You're going to want a lot of resist and as much life as you can get on your boots, including as much life as you can get on your jewelry. So, and those are pretty straightforward. You could purchase, high life, high resist boots and belts. They might be a little pricey, but you could trade for them. Not a big deal. The things that I do want on this build that will also help its damage, other than a Lilopathy, is I would like essence crafted jewelry that gives me chaos damage, because then if you have decent enough rings, you're going to get another 100% increased chaos damage, which will scale your damage even further. Problem being that you need some pretty good jewelry, like I said, because especially with this setup right here, using these gloves, using a Soul Strike, and then using a Caustic's Will, you need as much life as possible. So you really want some tier 1 life rolls on these pieces to get enough life to, feel comfortable. Well, like I said, this build is actually perfectly fine defensively. I just imagine that later on, once you get to tier 13 plus maps, chaos damage could become scary enough where you are going to want at least 5k life in conjunction with solid chaos resist, which I have okay chaos resist. It could be better than this, but to make it better than this is going to cost quite a bit. Something I did forget to mention earlier about the helm, if you're linking your blasphemies or discipline to enlighten, that will give you more mana. You could also essence craft yourself a helm, and if you do that, then you will be able to get more mana reservation, allowing you to skip grabbing a node like this. But again, a node like this one might not be bad because it puts you right here in Hexmaster. And when you're investing so much in hexes already and cursing, it would be a good addition. I don't really know how. I'm on the fence about it, but curse effectiveness is really good, and the increased area of effect of your curse skills, they already have a pretty good area of effect as of right now in the 3.0 patch. So with all that said, there are some changes that I do plan on doing with the passive tree if I were to continue playing. One, I would repath almost all of this. This would be a spreading rot jewel. This would no longer be an Eldritch Battery, and because it's no longer an Eldritch Battery, actually, you know what? This would be better to show you in Path of Building. So let's go to Path of Building. Display capture. Bam. Cool. Let's go ahead and do this. So, since we are no longer using Eldritch Knowledge, we would path completely differently. We would drop all these nodes, and we would also path this way just to save as many points as possible. The only reason why I path the top way over over Snowforge instead of like this pathway right here is so I could get these two nodes, because they would each give 5% increased chaos damage. So that's the reason why we did it, but I wouldn't do that anymore. Also, I would drop Deep Thoughts, even though Deep Thoughts is really good because you do need a little bit of mana, but that would just actually turn into either Primal Spirit down here or Druidic Rite. Both of which are really strong, and really, they're both really strong passives if you're over here. You know, obviously Primal Spirit is easier to have access to. Druidic Rite, you have to spend one more point to get access to it, but it also gives you access to Quick Step, which is another big quality of life thing with Caustic Arrow. And I think that's actually kind of like the biggest point of Caustic Arrow is to build it in a way where it's extremely comfortable and relaxing to play. You know, obviously there are things that you could do to get, you know, as good of single target DPS as you can. That being using things like a Decay Bow, the Allelopathy gloves, and then also a Wither Totem. Those things will help your single target, even potentially even a Val Lightning Trap. Although at that point you're running out of jewels, you're running out of gem sockets on your gear at that point. But this is just the repathing that I would do, and this would just kind of maintain the hybrid life tri-curse setup, which again I think is something that would excel quite a bit. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. Originally, this is kind of like a side note. Originally, I was using the Pierce Support Gem, but I have since gone away from it because you just do not, as an occultist, I feel you do not have enough accuracy to fully capitalize on having Pierce and having multiple clouds generated from one arrow, which is a really great utility, but since you don't have enough accuracy, it feels pretty bad whenever you just miss that the first mob at the beginning of a pack, and then you only hit the one at the back and they're already moving, and then you have to fire another arrow anyway. So because of that, I did change my gem setup a little bit, and I'm, you know, no longer planning on doing any weird thing over here where you go like intuitively piercing shots and then this dodge. You still could, you have room, you have points, you know, at this point, but it's something that I'm not sure if I'm gonna do, because like I said, the accuracy is kind of an issue now. So, oh yeah, they are called Spreading Rock. So yeah, you know, I just wanted to, you know, talk about this, and I know some people were kind of asking about it. I did initially talk about going CI, but I kind of shifted just because I don't, like I said, I don't feel like there's much of a benefit to going CI anymore. And Cosprey's Will was really inexpensive and is incredibly powerful. And you know, I don't know where it's at right now in the Harbinger Hardcore League or where it's at in the Harbinger League, but it's a really good chess piece that you can, you know, utilize pretty well. With that said though, if I were to continue playing this build right now and I wanted to invest more into it, well, I would have to invest more into it at this point to really play it. The first thing I would do is I would actually probably drop Whispers of Doom. I would drop this node over here and I would drop Charisma. And the reason that I would do that is because I would respec everything, I would get as much damage as possible, and I would only run dual curse. I would probably do Enfeeble on Blasphemy and then still have my Witchfire Brew. And this is just so I don't have to worry about any mana issues. And once I get higher level, once I could get more mana reservation, once my damage gets high enough, then I will add in the Tri-Curse portion of it, you know, through Temporal Chains, because it is pretty good. I mean, having Temp Chains and Enfeeble with Discipline, it's pretty good. And like I said, the build feels good defensively, just the damage isn't there. And I would consider changing some supports out. Right now I'm using a damage on full life, and maybe I would try to put a conk effect in there for my single target, but yeah, those are just kind of things that I would address immediately, because as of right now, I need more damage. You need more damage for this to start to feel really comfortable in the end, and you are stretched for points. So at like level 86, like I am now, dropping Whispers of Doom and then Charisma would afford us 8 passive points. So we could respec all this, which would get us another passive point. Actually, you save 2 passive points if you change these things around. And then you would get yourself a Spreading Rot, and you would do that. But then again, I would need to buy a better belt. I would need to buy better boots. And then also getting myself an actual +3 bow, like a decay bow or whatever, would be something to do as well. And I would probably do that on a thicket bow, because I think I value the attack speed a little bit more than the movement speed that you get on a reflex or a steel wood or a Mariketh bow. So either a thicket bow or a grove bow. But yeah, I just wanted to share my thoughts, you know, and talk about what's going on with this, and you know why I haven't been playing it, because I've been playing my Dark Pack crit totem build from Bob Slop, and that's been really fun. And I was breezing through content, and then I died because I'm bad and lazy. But after that, I leveled another one, but I was like, okay, you know, it's time to make another kind of a wrap-up video for Caustic Arrow. So overall, I should probably put like a little link down in my description so someone could get to this if they want to know. Overall, Caustic Arrow struggles a little bit in the single target department until later levels, when you could get gem levels and you could get appropriate gear and you could get the right setups. Defensively, it's great though. I mean, defensively, it's fun. So if you want a little more chilled and laid back play style, Caustic Arrow is good, but don't expect to melt any boss or any like tanky rare super fast. Otherwise, you'll just leave yourself upset with your choice to play Caustic Arrow. But it's still fun. I still really like it. I'm just gonna move to something else for a little bit and probably come back to this. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you have any questions or comments, you could leave them down below. Also, I've been streaming a lot recently. Twitch.tv/wabachaw. You could also follow me on Twitter @wabachaw. I pretty much tweet every single time that I'm streaming, and I'll probably start to get a little bit more active on that. That's my cue. Gotta go. See you guys.